So at least once a week, somebody asks me how to get all of the things done that need to get done for the practice to move forward, especially if we don't have staff. And I think part of the problem is that, and I say problem equals potential, and potential equals growth. So part of the growth potential is that every time there's a challenge, every time there's an opportunity to be better, it's like an open invitation to move forward. And I would say the hardest thing in one of the most challenging things, one of the biggest opportunities for growth in running a practice without staff is keeping all of the balls in the air. Because if one ball falls, we drop our rhythm, we drop our cadence with it, and then everything looks off, right? So the key then becomes keeping all of the balls in the air, especially as some balls switch out. So we might have a system in place where if we have a new practice member, what's their first point of contact? And it might be good for a while for their first point of contact to be for them to fill out a form, and then you get the form emailed to you, and then there's an automated email that goes to them, whatever it is. And then you decide one day, because you can, because it's your practice, that you want to do it a different way. So my hope for you is that you're able to switch out that ball, right? Without all of the other balls coming tumbling down, because then nothing's going on, nothing's in the air. So whether you're a team of one or you've got a whole bunch of people on your team, everybody needs an order to the balls that they're responsible for keeping in the air. And the idea is, and my hope is, that if there are people on your team, the only balls that they have in the air, that they're in charge of making sure they stay up there and they go where they're supposed to go, are what they're really good at doing and what they love to do. If I have Barb sitting at my front desk, who's not only doing the marketing and the social media, but she's also answering phones and doing billing for the practice, those are like 5 different skill sets combined into one part-time stay-at-home mom who, by the way, needed something to do while her kids were in school. Really hard to set that expectation and to set that stage and to make it be matched in the way that you need the balls to stay in the air. Does that make sense? So usually what happens, and this happened today, I was on a call with this awesome doctor, and her staff just got up and walked out because there were too many expectations for any one person to be able to follow through on. I hope that's making sense to you guys. So, I have a concern that you guys are hearing my AirPods and not me. So I'm just going to hold this up to here. So hopefully you can hear me and you can hear me. Default speaker has changed to iPod. Okay, I'm going to do this. There we go. And if you're watching me on live and you can't hear me, please send me a direct message because this is a pretty important one. I'm just going to check in with our Facebook group. Hold on one sec, guys. Sorry. Okay, whoever's watching me, whoever's on live with me, can you just send me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay? Let's see who that is. Okay, cool. All right, so how do we do that? How do we make sure that all the balls stay in the air and that everybody's in their lane of genius? My number one go-to to making this work really well is the use of checklists. And, I'm a checklist on paper kind of girl. I'm not if you give me one more screen to look at, I'm gonna like lose my cool, right? I want a piece of paper in front of me, and I want my happy pen collection, and I want to see colors on the page. And at the end of the day, I want to see that all of the things for Monday got done. Then I know that I'm good. Does that make sense? So if you give me a program to look at or whatever, it's one dimensional and it just gets lost in all of the other layers of programs in my world. But if I have it on paper and I have these legal pads all over my office, if I have it on paper and it's in front of me, I'm going to check the boxes as I go. So your system, the way that this works for you, is going to be individualized for you. You know, a lot of people say to me, I need to work with you. I need you to be my coach so that you can tell me what to do and what to say. Mm-mm. When I work with a client, I pull truths by master question asking. I make sure that the way to organize your front desk works for your brain. If it's working for your brain, it might not work for my brain, but at least it's a system that you can depend on year after year, decade after decade, for that matter. Okay, so let's go into what we would need checklists for. I think that's an important place to go. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a message from one of you guys, and I'm a little nervous that you're going to tell me that you can't hear me. Hold on a sec. So when I figured out that it was time for me to go staffless, that you're going to tell me that you can't. Okay, there we go. When I figured out that it was time for me to go staffless, and I figured out that there were some systems that needed to be created, I one of the other things that I figured out is what lists did I need to have in place, and where did I need to have them to remember to look at them. Because I can certainly create the perfect checklist, but if I forget to look at it, it's not going to do me any good, right? So here are the checklists that work in my world. And my invitation to you is to start thinking outside the box about how this could work in your world. One, a new patient checklist. What do I do before, during, and after visit one? Okay. Two, a shopping checklist for the practice. What are the supplies that we need to have on hand at any given time? What do we need to have extras of? Three, a Monday through Friday Jody do list, the things that I have to do to keep everything moving forward. That's a big one. Four, a marketing checklist. And the marketing checklist is going to look like, it could look like, what do you need to do before you go live? What do you need to do after you go live? If you have a VA who handles your reels for Instagram, what's the checklist that they need to follow? What do they need to make sure they do in order for that ship to move forward? Six, I could very well use a checklist for home. Who needs to do what to keep everything moving forward? Here's an example for you. We need to have a new house cleaner, and there were certain things that I wanted to interview for our house cleaner. There were certain things that were really important to me. An example would be that they are good with using our vacuum and they're good with using our cleaning products, because we don't like to clean our house with poison. So when I was coming up with the list of things that I needed to ask about when this person was interviewing with us, this is a very simple example, but it's a big deal. I needed to have a list in front of me, and I needed to check the boxes as I was interviewing each person to make sure that they fit in my list. It's not me fitting into their list, it's them fitting into my list. And this goes on and on, like if we're hiring for front desk, if we're hiring for marketing, if we're hiring for a Casper, if you know, you know. And I'll let you in on that. Caspers are usually the first person that gets hired when you start working with the Staffless Practice Academy. We teach you to find somebody who can come in when you're not there and make your office beautiful, so that you're not doing jobs like watering plants and taking out trash. That's something that a Casper can do for you. And we call them a Casper because you don't see them ever. They come in when you're not there and they leave before you get there, and they make your office beautiful. So My suggestion to you this week is to start thinking about what are the checklists that you need to keep your cool, and what do you need to have in front of you to make sure that you stay connected to it? Will you stay connected to the checklist if it's not on paper? And if the answer is no, how do you remind yourself to put it on paper and to print it out every Monday? If it doesn't need to be on paper, if you're okay with computer or an app on your phone, which is totally cool, what is the app and how do you hold yourself accountable, or do you need somebody else to hold you accountable to using it on a regular basis? These are the questions to start asking. Because you guys, these are really simple things, but these are the things that push you forward. These are the things that make it possible for you to practice the way that you want to be practicing without having to hire more team members. These are the things that make it so that you can fit two more people on your schedule. You can serve two more people great care. And then they can go have their ripple effect of how much your care has affected them. That's cool, isn't it? Okay, be gentle with yourselves. Go make the world better with great care, and I'll see you next week.